your name?
So what's going to happen if I don't give you my name?
Then you can be under arrest.
If you are going to threaten us with physical violence, you better make sure you're willing to go all the way, because I am.
The way the law works is if the law doesn't say you can't do it, then you can do it.
If you want to lock people up for not breaking laws,
all men are created equal is the idea that if it is wrong for one man to commit an act, it is wrong for all men to commit that act. Too often, members of our government exclude themselves from the ranks of equal men referenced by Thomas Jefferson when he said.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of State versus Transparency. This is episode 3. We do these episodes regularly on my second channel, Craig Henry. Today, it's just so important. It happened today, so we're bringing it to you on both the main and the second channel. So if you end up liking this, go over and subscribe to the Craig Henry channel, and you'll see these episodes in the future. All right, but today, like I say, we've got a big deal. It's pretty important. It just happened today, and I am angry about it. I mean, I am worked up. I was worked up all day about it. It was absolutely ridiculous what happened to me. The guy in the thumbnail came up to me in a public building and smashed my phone out of my hand, and it hit on the ground, and it looks now like this. So I'm going to make sure that you can see that. That's what it looks like, though. So, and the guy in the thumbnail did that. Now, right now, as I am talking, it's 5:31 p.m. I did give this guy a chance to give me a call. That's why I'm doing this so much later into the day. This happened about 12 o'clock. I gave him a chance to give me a call after it happened to make reparations for what he did. But before we get to talking about that, I want to show you what he did. All right, so here's the setting. I'm in the Terre Haute City Hall. And guys, by the way, this video might be a little bit choppy, but this is what we've got right now. We're going to get you an edited version of this in particular later without all this commentary. But this is the Terre Haute City Hall. I'm in here doing a First Amendment audit. All right, now on the Terre Haute City Hall doors, they have an executive order, which is not law. It's literally just the mayor saying that, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And he's going to have his police department enforce it. It says that you are not allowed to record audio or video without express consent in the office areas of the building. Right? It specifically says it because me and the city attorney had a dispute about this when he made that, when he wrote that executive order up for the former mayor, Duke Bennett. Now we've got a new mayor in, but it looks like we've still got some problems in the city hall. So we're going to show you what happened. This is me starting a little bit through my audit in Terre Haute, Indiana.
Sir, what are you doing?
Just logging through the city hall.
Are you allowed to do that because there should be no filming or video?
Pretty sure I'm allowed to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Guys, by the way, I'm noticing something just there. I want you to see this right here. We're going to go back a little bit. Look at the guy in here. Does it look like he's flipping me off in this video? Check this out. I'm going to play it again. Yeah, I think that's the guy who came and attacked. I think this is the guy. So he's just flipping me off. He's making obscene gestures at me. Or maybe not obscene, but he's making gestures at me right off the jump. All right, so what I'm doing here is look at this door. This door is transparent. You can see right through it, all right? And I'm going to record a sign that says no recording without consent right in front of this transparent door, okay? Well, okay, it's actually the door down the hall, I think. I'm recording this guy. So as you can see, I'm staying behind the glass, and I shouldn't have to, right? I shouldn't have to, but I'll be arrested if not. So it says no audio or video recording without express consent. All right, now there's that non-transparent door right there, but then to the left of that, you've got this door. And I walk in, but then I realize, oh, maybe I should walk out and record that there's no sign saying that I can't be in here. So that's exactly what I do. I go up and down. There's nothing on the walls. So we go in. I'm looking around, doing what I always do. You know, what I have a right to do. And then watch this. We catch this lazy employee sitting here on her phone doing absolutely nothing, scrolling through Facebook. Watch this. This is right here. You see her? She's just scrolling through her Facebook. Just keep on going through Facebook. Don't worry about our tax dollars paying you.
Hey, this is a private office.
This is a private office?
Yeah, so you need to.
You mean, hold on, don't touch me.
No.
Whoa, don't touch me. Do you work for the city?
No, I do not actually.
You don't work for the city.
Nope.
Who do you work for?
He's
Who do you
pushing
work
you.
for?
You need to leave.
Who do you work for?
You need to leave.
No, I don't need to leave.
And so so what he does is he punches my phone, or he smacks my phone right out of my hand at that point. Okay, so let's watch that back. And as it hits the floor, it smashes. This is what it looks like now. It smashes. The camera's all smashed in. And it stops recording. All right.
Don't touch me. Do you work for the city?
No, I do not actually.
You don't work for the city.
Nope.
Who do you work for? Who do you work for?
You need to leave.
Who do you work for?
You need to leave.
No, I don't need to leave.
It's ridiculous, right? These people are criminals, right? And so now I'm going to show you the next recording, because I go up, pick up my phone, and I start recording again for my own safety, because I want to make it very clear to everybody, because I anticipate a lot of comments. And don't get me wrong, of course, we all feel, I feel the same way, right? If most people are in the situation, they feel like they have the right to defend themselves. And of course, in theory, we do have the right to defend ourselves. But I know who I am. I know how the police see me. I know how prosecuting attorneys see me. And that's just how it is. I mean, people see me as kind of, or at least the cops and whatnot see me as their enemy. And so if they see an opportunity to arrest me, even if they didn't see it happen and they just see a bruise on a guy that I defended myself against, they're going to take me to the slammer, right? They're going to make me fight a case, even if I was just defending myself, which would have been the case in this instance, but I didn't. What I did was I picked up my phone so that I had evidence of what he was about to do to me next. And I'm about to bring that up for you right now in a video file. Again, it's going to be a little bit choppy. I'm going to check Google Drive again and see if we've got it on Google Drive, so we can hopefully avoid it being all choppy. As a matter of fact, no, we can't, because this is not oriented right. Gosh, that is unfortunate. See, when I picked up my phone and recorded it, it was oriented on what is it, portrait or whatever, upright. It was upright. So I'm going to have to show you the video file, like I say. Is it right here?
You are not going to touch me anymore. You don't touch me.
It's disoriented in the original too, so we'll just show you the StreamYard or the Google Drive one. And again, this all is going to be up in a later video, but this is the first look at it right here.
You are not going to touch me anymore. You don't touch me.
Go. Touch it. Go. Go. You need to leave.
Get away from me.
Sir?
Go.
Yeah. I mean, there's a sign, you can see it right there, no audio or video recording. I can't understand what the holdup for you is. Right, here,
Have you read the order?
read what order?
Because that's not a law. You're aware of that?
It
That's
doesn't
not a
have-
law.
Is that what it takes to enforce a rule inside a governmental building for it to be a law?
The executive order is clear. It says that it's in the office areas.
You know what, guys? We're going to stop that, because I I just don't really think that it's really productive right now with it being sideways. I'm going to try to find a way to reorient it. But for anybody new in it, we're going to show you guys while I'm reorienting it. We're going to show you guys kind of the lead up, and then for anybody that's new, what happened again. So this is in Terre Haute, Indiana. This is City Hall.
Sir, what are you doing?
Just logging through the city hall.
Are you allowed to do that? Because there should be no filming or videoing.
Pretty sure I'm allowed to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so we've got it up for you, but just for anybody new here, this is a replay of what happened. I'm into this office, or it's not even an office, it's just a meeting room that nobody's inhabiting. There's no signs in front of it saying that we can't be in there. We catch this servant on their phone. That's a big no-no when you're on the clock, but if you're a government worker, it's okay.
Hey, this is a private office.
This is a private office?
Yeah, so you need to.
You mean, hold on, don't touch me.
No.
Whoa, don't touch me. Do you work for the city?
No, I do not actually.
You don't work for the city.
Nope.
Who do you work for? Who do you work for?
You need to leave.
Who do you work for?
You need to leave.
No, I don't need to leave.
So he cracks my phone right out of my hand. So now I'm going to show you guys this. I wish I could show it to you full screen. Unfortunately, I am not going to be able to that I know of. But we're going to play it for you.
Go. You are not going to touch me anymore. You don't touch me.
Go. Touch it. Go. Go. You need to leave.
Get away from me.
Sir? Yeah. What? I mean, there's a sign, you can see it right there, no audio or video recording. I can't understand what the holdup for you is. Right, here.
Have you read the order?
Read what order?
Because that's not a law. You're aware of that? That's not a law.
Is that what it takes to enforce a rule inside a governmental building for it to be a law?
The executive order is clear. It says that it's in the office areas.
Well,
This guy just came and battered me. Who does he work for? engineering and building permits. He just battered me. He just touched me and cracked my phone out of my hand. Look at the screen. Now, no, I know you're not worried about that violation of the law, but you're real worried about this order here, aren't you? Now look here, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I don't want to talk to you anymore. This is unconsensual at this point. I'll set up a meeting with you to talk about this order. Leave me alone.
Where do you think you're going?
I mean, guys, I can't express to you just how annoyed this kind of stuff makes me. This guy comes over and breaks my property. And by the way, this is what they do, right? Because he works for them, he's going to be okay, right? He's going to be just fine. They're going to make sure he stays real comfortable. They probably gave him the rest of the day off, as a matter of fact, with full pay, right? But this is the kind of stuff that happens. He comes into a public building. He doesn't own it. I don't own it. Neither of us have an ownership right to it. And he slaps my phone out of my hand and it smashes onto the ground. Yet this city attorney comes over, this public official, an appointed position, comes over and he starts berating me about exercising my rights, claiming that I'm in the wrong. After my phone is broken, I've just shown it to him that it's completely broken. This is all cracked up. I mean, that's broken, right? But come on. I mean, because it's Craig Henry, it's okay, right? Because that's the way that these government officials see it, right? So anyways, I want to give you guys some context on it. We got 192 people in the room. Thanks for being here. If everybody could smash that like button, I would really appreciate that. But what happened afterwards were they called the police, right? I called the police and told them that, hey, this kind of stuff happened. I said, I don't really remember what I said, but I definitely told them that I was going to be leaving soon and that I wouldn't be sticking around to make a police report. Basically just telling them they were pieces of crap. Anyways, they call and a cop shows up. They've called way before me. I mean, they called like a half hour before me. So then a cop shows up and I start recording him. He comes and he starts asking me. I show him the video. He asks me if I want to press criminal charges, if I'd like to make a report. Now, I want to tell you something. I didn't. I told him I didn't want to. I told him, I'd like you to go tell this guy that it would be honorable for him to call me and we can work this out between the two of us. And I'm going to tell you why I did that. I did that because I'm doing him a favor, because I don't like it when people get annoyed at me or what I do. And by the way, I don't destroy people's property. I don't do that. That's what they did to me. And I told them, I said, don't get this guy involved with the criminal justice system because it's not going to benefit anybody. The only thing that's going to benefit me is reparations, is restitution for this act done by Mr. Whatever his name is. I never even got his name, right? So anyways, that's what happened. We told him don't even press charges. I asked him to just give me a call afterwards. And if he is honorable, and we'll report it, by the way, if he is honorable, he'll call me and he'll offer to repair my phone screen. Put a 1 in the chat if you think he's going to do it. Put a 2 in the chat if you think he's not going to do it. All right. Now, I want to show you, I'm going to continue on with my conversation with this city attorney here, where he tries to defend this man's actions. Let's see.
I'm roaming the public halls of a public building.
And opening doors into meetings you have no business intruding.
Let me tell you something. Can you tell me what this is here, buddy?
That is a notice that you are not allowed to record without the express permission, which you do not have.
Where? In the offices. Okay.
So you're just going to stand here and record the public hall.
How much do you get paid per hour? Let me ask you that. How much do you get paid per hour to come here, defend some guy who just physically assaulted me and cracked my phone out of my hand and tell me that I have to follow something that isn't the law? How much do you get paid to do that?
My compensation is set on a government website. You can look that up for yourself.
Yeah, I think I will.
Okay.
I think I will. Now, what are you going to do for the rest of the day while you're on the clock? While you're paid right now, what are you going to do for the rest of the day?
You're creating a disturbance inside this.
No, I'm not. I was inside a door where there's no sign on. I just got pushed out of it and my phone got cracked.
Well,
you want to tell me that I'm doing something wrong? There's nothing wrong. There's no violation of law. Now, before you cause more of a disturbance, you are, sir, my good sir, you are now dismissed.
From what? I can
This
be
conversation.
inside the building just as much as you can.
So you admit I have a right to be here. Thank you very much. That's why you shouldn't talk, right? That's why you should just not talk, because now you just admitted I have a right to be here. So now get it.
You've done public business, but
What are you doing? Harassing me. I've told you this isn't consensual multiple times. Bye. These are the guys who will come. They will assault you if you try to do anything. And well, it should now be a famous saying. And that should be a famous saying. Government will try to do everything to gather information on you while restricting your right to gather any information on them.
And that really is the crux of the issue, everybody. Now, this guy, he and I had a conversation of which I had to revoke consent to after a while because it's just robotic government talk. I told him I would schedule a meeting with him to be had off camera to discuss the merits and the detriments of this order that they've put inside the city hall that they think just gives them carte blanche to attack the citizens in the Terre Haute City Hall. Of course, this is what they want to do to us. They want to take our money, sit in these cushy jobs, and then when we come in to check up on them, they want to attack us. And they want to scare anybody else who would be inclined to do the same thing. Well, that's unfortunate because I will not be deterred from doing it. Now, I'll be deterred as far as jail goes right now. Wait until I beat the other cases. When I beat the other cases, oh my goodness. You're not, I mean, it's not even going to be a question. I mean, we're going to go in and we're going to exercise our rights to the fullest extent. We're not going to be deterred by any threats of criminal action taken against us. And of course, I mean the criminal action on the part of them, not on the part of me. They usually do a lot of criminal acts. And of course, now I want to segment into why these people think they can do this. Because any regular person, any normal person would understand that when the public pays for a building and the public needs access to that building for services, you're not just going to be able to discriminate on people based on them exercising their right and kick them out of the building. I mean, this has got to be clear. All right. But the reason they think that they can do this is because the state government here in Indiana, which is where Terre Haute is, it's in Indiana, the state government has drafted up a new law. It's called House Bill 1338. And I would love to show you guys what they said as far as this House bill goes. I mean, you will almost not believe it. All right. So we've got it here. And this is where they detail how they are going to basically give themselves unlimited power and unlimited immunity. All right, so I'm going to show this. I'm going to take a step back. You guys enjoy.
Enforcement removed somebody there and hit him with trespass charges. Was actually convicted, but then on the appeal, the defendant's claim was that the law enforcement officer was not an agent of the property. During the appellate court decision, they essentially, in that opinion, all but asked us to change that law.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Prescott, why is this bill necessary?
So,
shouldn't taxpayers have that right to go to government meetings and question? And I don't think it'd be disruptive, but shouldn't they have that right?
Absolutely, taxpayers should have that right to show up at meetings, but they have to be so civilly. We need to.
House Bill 1338. Chair recognizes Representative Prescott.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House. House Bill 1338, a couple years ago, my local elected officials reached out, let me know about a problem that they were having with individuals showing up, disrupting public meetings. I encouraged them to adopt a set of rules of decorum, kind of like what we have down here. So they did so after that first meeting, after adopting their rules of decorum. Chaos kind of broke out during that first meeting. They were having trouble enforcing them. Law enforcement wasn't quite sure how to handle it at the time in the meeting as well.
I'd like to translate for anybody who didn't really understand what he said. He said that after the elected officials made rules about the citizens not being allowed to talk in public meetings, the citizens that elected them expressed their dislike, and the police didn't know if they could kidnap them or not. So that's what he said there, just for anybody who didn't really pick up on that.
And consulting with Association of Counties, AIM, other bodies down here, this seems to be a growing problem around the state and around the nation, quite frankly. So that's kind of why we put this bill together. If a governing body allows attendees to speak at a topic in a meeting, or a governing body may designate for a period of time the public testimony that is before or during the governing body's discussion or consideration of the topic, and before the governing body takes final action on the topic. They can address the amount of time allocated for attendees to speak. The governing body may adopt reasonable rules and policies governing the conduct of a meeting, including reasonable restrictions on the time allotted to attendees to speak on the topic. To maintain order, they have to adopt a policy for the presiding officer to enforce these rules of decorum. If somebody violates the rules of decorum, they get a verbal warning. If they continue to violate the rules of decorum, they get a second verbal warning. On the third offense, the presiding officer may ask the attendee to leave. If the attendee refuses to leave, at that point, the presiding officer could direct law enforcement to remove the attendee. Nothing in the section prohibits the law enforcement officers from immediately removing an individual if a criminal act is committed, or if removal of the attendee is necessary to maintain public order. On page 2, line 31, that code site that's referenced is actually our Indiana tort claim law, which is our version of qualified immunity, to make sure that public employees and law enforcement officers are protected under a qualified immunity statute.
They're going to make sure they can't get sued.
The second section of the bill, it was originally drafted to just deal with public buildings, but we did open that up to all buildings or all property. The reason for the original intent for public buildings is we had these First Amendment auditors coming in, is what they called themselves, but they were really trespassing on private property. They were going past restricted access areas.
I want everybody to really pay attention, because this is the law that I'm talking about. They sneak this law. They sneak an amendment to a trespassing law into a law that amends city ordinance or city meeting decorum, right? So he's sneaking this little trespass in, and he's admitting it's because First Amendment auditors, but then he completely misquotes, or he completely lies about what has actually gone on. And we're going to break it down for you right here.
The second section of the bill, it was originally drafted to just deal with public buildings, but we did open that up to all buildings or all property. The reason for the original intent for public buildings is we had these First Amendment auditors coming in, is what they called themselves, but they were really trespassing on private property. They were going past restricted access areas.
So he's saying that First Amendment auditors would come into public buildings, but what they would really be doing is trespassing on private property. Of course, this makes sense to nobody that actually has a brain, at least as far as I'm concerned. But another thing that he's saying is that, once you exit a private, or once you exit, I don't know. I mean, you cannot exit a public building and go on to private property unless you've exited the public building, right? I mean, that seems like common sense, but it escapes this guy, and it escapes hundreds of thousands of people across the United States. If you are one of these people, and I see a couple in the chat, if you are one of these people that cannot understand, please go back to high school. So we're going to continue on with this. J.D. Prescott talking about why he's got to make this trespass law because of First Amendment auditors. Here we go.
Coming in is what they called themselves, but they were really trespassing on private property. They were going past restricted access areas, behind locked doors, interrupting business inside of buildings. So the reason for our changes in the trespass laws for this, there was a situation where in Vincennes, there was property where the owner had asked law enforcement to send extra patrols because he was having problems with people trespassing in a restricted access area. It was actually a loading dock. Law enforcement removed somebody there and hit him with trespass charges. Was actually convicted, but then on the appeal, the defendant's claim was that the law enforcement officer was not an agent of the property. And during the appellate court decision, reading the opinion, they said that there are situations where it would be in the best interest to have law enforcement remove them, but they're not the General Assembly. They could not change the law. So they essentially, in that opinion, all but asked us to change that law. So we did that by saying if someone knowingly or intentionally enters or refuses to leave an area of a property that is marked restricted, enters or refuses to leave an area of a property that's designated as employee or authorization personnel only, or enters or refuses to leave an area of a property that is locked or otherwise not accessible to public without permission or prior authorization, that they'd be subject to Class A misdemeanor for trespass. With that, that's the intent of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Prescott, why is this bill necessary?
So without this legislation, the only thing that our locals have to use to enforce their rules of decorum is opinions by our public access counselor, Luke Britt. So really what we're doing was we're codifying what Luke Britt has given in his opinions to enforce rules of decorum at local meetings.
Shouldn't taxpayers have that right to go to government meetings and question? And I don't think it'd be disruptive, but shouldn't they have that right?
Absolutely, taxpayers should have that right to show up at meetings, but they have to be so civilly. We need to, just like we're conducting business here today, right? We have rules of decorum, how we conduct business as a body, how we conduct business in our committee meetings as well. So yes, I want to make property. And during the was actually convicted, but then on the in a restricted access, asked law enforcement to send extra patrols because he was having calls for this. There was a situation where in Vincennes there was a property where the owner had asked law enforcement to send extra patrols because he was having problems with people trespassing in a restricted access area. It was actually a loading dock. Law enforcement removed somebody there and hit him with trespass charges.
What happened in this case is not what JD Prescott actually claims is what happens, right? So I got on a phone call with the property owner on February 26, 2024, and asked him about this particular case. I want everybody to let me know if you can hear this phone call. Put a 1 in the chat if you can.
This is Mark. Can I help you? Yeah, hi, Mark. My name is Craig Hendry. I'm calling. I'm a journalist, and I'm looking into a case. It looks like somebody was arrested on RCS property, a certain Marion Young, back in 2019, it looks like. Were you working for them at that time?
Well, I own the business, so, I own the business.
Okay.
On it. If I remember, I'm not sure that this is the one. I really wasn't, notified about it. If it was the one that was he underneath of a truck sleeping or something like that out here in the business, trespassing on the property. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It sounded something like that. And so I'm looking into it. It looks like that guy got convicted, but then on appeal, the court overturned the conviction. And that was last year. And the reason they overturned it is because it looks like the police only said that you had asked them to trespass them. I guess they didn't bring you on the stand. So I wanted to call before I go and make any statements. I wanted to call and ask you if you had actually asked the police to trespass individuals at the time, or if it was a decision you had made in retrospect, maybe.
I can't tell you. I don't remember the situation because, like I said, I just remember the officers said we had a guy underneath of our truck out here, and like right now we've got no trespass signs up on our building. We've had a person get underneath our truck and cut our gas line here about maybe a year ago, something like that. So I'm, kind of getting really hard on that because people being on the property after hours, this the stuff we're seeing. So
yeah, that's unacceptable.
So this guy details that the officer told him that they had a guy under the property and that the officer had just arrested him and hit him with trespass, right? But they never actually called this property owner, this business owner, to have him testify and say that he ever wanted the guy trespassed. And they said that just in the last year, they've started having problems with it and they've put up signs, but they never asked the police to have anybody arrested. It was a complete lie. So J.D. Prescott's written up a whole new law, a whole new House bill. And by the way, J.D. Prescott is a House of Representatives representative in Indiana. So he wrote up this whole piece of legislation based off of a law enforcement lie. Hey, hell, who even cares, right? Based off a lie, it's going to be enforced to violate rights. That's what it's going to be enforced for. So let's see the discussion that is had over this bill. It's pretty interesting. Another representative comes up and asks the guy, why is this even necessary? So let's watch.
Representative Prescott, why is this bill necessary?
So without this legislation, the only thing that our locals have to use to enforce their rules of decorum is opinions by our public access counselor, Luke Britt. So really what we're doing was we're codifying what Luke Britt has given in his opinions to enforce rules of decorum at local meetings.
Shouldn't taxpayers have that right to go to government meetings and question? And I don't think it'd be disruptive, but shouldn't they have that right?
Absolutely, taxpayers should have that right to show up at meetings, but they have to be so civilly. We need to, just like we're conducting business here today, right? We have rules of decorum, how we conduct business as a body, how we conduct business in our committee meetings as well. So yes, I want to make sure that everybody's First Amendment right is protected. And really what we have happening in Winchester, for example, where this, where the request came for this legislation, you have average everyday constituents that are being shut out from public meetings because a select few individuals interrupt, disrupt, and have to adjourn early or just get the other individuals completely out of order, to where there's constituents that don't feel comfortable being at the meetings because of the way some of these individuals are acting. So the balance I'm trying to find here is, when does person A's First Amendment rights start to violate person B's First Amendment rights? We want to make sure everybody's treated equally under the law and can show up, air their grievances to the public, but we just want to do so in an orderly, respectful fashion.
Okay, and I understand that, and I appreciate that. My fear is an elected person gets asked uncomfortable questions, and I think a lot of times questions are uncomfortable, but if you're an elected official, you should be able to handle that. And this bill kind of scares me from that perspective. I see where you're going, but let me think about how we'll vote. Thank you.
Further discussion? Representative Porter, speak on the bill. Your author yield, he yields.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House. And I apologize, Representative Prescott. I hold you in high regard, and had I gone into the bill in more depth early, I would have gotten a hold of you ahead of time. But my concern is, having served as a mayor, I know at times we would have individuals that would show up and get a little rowdy, but not radically so. But one of the concerns that I have was some of those, I think, that have been asked before. Again, I just want to make sure that people who come and may just have just a disagreement with, whether it be a city council or a, county council meeting or whatever, that it's not taking away any of their rights to come and ask the questions and so forth that they normally would be able to do under normal circumstances.
Yeah, so this bill would not prohibit anybody from coming and asking questions. They could still do that. The local units of government would be responsible for adopting their rules of decorum, and they would do so with their legal counsel. I want to make sure nobody's First Amendment rights are violated. We want to make sure that civil discussions being had. That's all we're doing here.
So look,
right, and so this is an absolute lie. So the reality is that if somebody's being disorderly or intimidating at a city council meeting, there are already statutes for that in all 50 states. There's no reason to create a new law. The only intent of this bill is to further restrict your right to free speech. Because, of course, the law just says that city councils and town councils can adopt rules of decorum, right? And, of course, the trespassing law, what that does, that's very sneaky. What the trespassing law does is it makes a police officer an agent of private property and public property. Whereas right now they are neither. Police officers are neither agents of public or private property because they don't own the property, right? They don't have consent from a property owner to trespass somebody because the property owner is the public, right? So when police officers come up to you on private property after this bill is passed, they'll just ask you for ID. They'll tell you you're trespassed without the property owner ever having known that you were even there. And they could possibly take you to jail if you refuse to comply with their unlawful directives, right? And of course, the decorum is just a way for the Indiana Board of Representatives, the Indiana House of Representatives, to circumvent taking everybody's rights by themselves. If the town councils are making the rules of decorum that are clear violations of people's constitutional rights, they'll be dealt with in the court months or possibly years after somebody's rights are violated. And two, the state of Indiana will just say, well, look, they clearly adopted unreasonable rules of decorum, and of course it's going to be unreasonable, right? I predict multiple lawsuits on multiple city councils, town councils, county councils, and the qualified immunity is going to come into play, of course, because that is in the bill. They've granted themselves immunity. We're going to have people trespass from public property. We're going to have people trespass from private property. It's going to be an absolute mess. And the only people that are going to be able to challenge this in court are, well, without getting arrested to the ACLU, but everybody else pretty much has to get arrested if they want to challenge this in court. And then, of course, you've got to beat it in the criminal court, and you gotta put your freedom on the line to do so. But that's what guys like me are here for. So when if and when we are able to, because right now they're weighing us down, right? They're saying that, well, if you go and get arrested by one of us, if you offend another agent of the state, we are going to kidnap you. This is what they're saying to me. We're going to kidnap you, and we're going to take you to jail in the county that you offended a person's ego in, right? Then they're going to revoke the bond in Vermilion County, right? Then they're going to revoke my bond in Vigo County. Then they're going to revoke my bond in Lake County. Then they're going to revoke the bond in Boyd County. It's going to be a chain reaction, and I'm not going to get out of jail at all, right? Because possibly by the time I'm out of the last county, the first county's hearing has already come around, right? So, of course, this is their game. This is what they do, and it's unacceptable. It is absolutely unacceptable. Like we say, this is a case, an out-of-court case of the state versus transparency as an idea. So with that being said, we are going to get out of here. If you didn't see the beginning of this video, you're going to want to go back and check it out. A guy comes up and aggressively attacks me. But for everybody that joined, thank you very much. Thanks for being here. If you like this kind of content, you're on the Hendry channel, you're going to want to go over to the Craig Hendry channel and subscribe, because this is the third episode we've done of State versus Transparency, where we talk about multiple different issues. It could be a different issue every episode, and I give my take and we bring it to your attention. So if you like this kind of format, you're going to want to go over to my second channel, Craig Hendry. You're going to want to search me up. My last name is as you see it on this channel, and subscribe over there so that you get this content in the future. If you liked it, press the like button and share it. It always helps to share it on Facebook, on Twitter, on anything that you have. If you share it, it gets out to more eyes, the message spreads, more awareness spreads, and knowledge is power. They don't want the people to have the power. Spread it. All right, everybody. Take care. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.